the three acts. Okay, so let us pray in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
Let us continue to pray with perseverance for our brother Christian who suffers so much because of their faith and love for Jesus. Hail Mary,
Full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen.
Mary, seat of wisdom.
Pray for us.
In the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
So for this class, you have to use the two charts. You have to have that in front of you because I will use that. And it will be a commentary of page 17 and following. I will come back on what we studied last class because I was going very fast about the analysis of the human life by St. Thomas. St. Thomas proposed that analysis in three stages, three parts. First, the phase of intention. Secondly, the phase of election, and the third, the phase of execution. Okay. So, of course, that is a model. It's not necessarily the same way every time we take a decision. We don't follow necessarily the same step all the time. But that is a perfect act of the will, if you want. So, first, when we see something, we perceive a good in a thing. What attracts us is not the thing itself, it is the good in the thing. A child, you get a candy and a bill of $5 bill, probably the child will choose the candy because it sees a good in that. Okay. Now, when we see something good or a good in a thing, a good for us in a thing, that provokes in us a wish, a liking. We are attracted by it. We like that, you know. So there's the first tendency toward that good. But immediately my judgment is functioning. Can I attain that? If I can attain it, I can continue. If I cannot attain it, I told you, yeah, beautiful Audi, but you know, I cannot buy a Audi, so that's stuck here. But if I can attain it, it's attainable. I pass in front of Dairy Queen, I have money, I am thirsty, so I am tempted to stop. I have a tendency toward Dairy Queen, toward good ice cream, you know. That is very important. It is the temptation is here. Temptation is here. We see something good and we are tempted. Tension, it means to tend toward. Intention is not it is the same meaning we have in knowledge. When I say knowledge is intentional union. Okay? Now, my judgment is functioning. All the time the will and the intellect work together. I noticed the phase of deliberation of concept. My intellect, see if it is good for me, not good. You know, of course, in everything, because it's not a perfect good, there is some imperfection. I can see how that good is good, how that good maybe is not totally good for me, etc. So I deliberate if I will do or not do. I will take the decision. So I take the decision to stop in Dairy Queen. No, I say I have the money, it's good for me. Then I forget my doctor. He said, no ice cream. But no, you are very far. Now I am okay. I decide. I cancel. Is the moral act. The moral act is here. Number 6. Very important. Very important for fundamental moral. If you want it. The sin, they take a theological term because sin is not a philosophical term. The sin is here in that concept. I decide. And that action of decided, it is we call the elicited act. the act coming from myself. The origin, Latin origin of that is like water gushing from the, you use a pick and you make a hole and suddenly the water is gushing because you hurt a pipe. So gushing, elicited. That decision comes from you, elicited act. Because the inherited act will be those after. The act you will do to attain, Impero means to command. So I say that because in theology, we use those terms. Elicited act is the act of the will itself. It's the I decide, I will, I say, I do. Do you want to marry this woman or this man? I do. That is the concept. But you can stop there. Some people, they decide, but for example, every year at the 1st of January, people take good resolution. This year I will stop smoking. This year I will do that, I will do that. And after 15 years, the same thing, no change. So the concept. But if I am consequent with me, I have to put that into practice. If I decide, for example, to go to New York to visit the Metropolitan Museum, any kind of St. Patrick Cathedral, I have to use my judgment to find the means. If I decide to study philosophy, I have to use the means. I have to put out my radio, to sit down, put glue on my chair, and stay there and open my book, and I have to I have to use the means. You decide to go to Rome, it's not sufficient to say, I will go to Rome. You have to buy a ticket, you have to reserve, etc. Okay, that's the means. So, in fact, when the one who decide to do something implicitly decide to will the means. It will be stupid, non-consequent to say, I decide, but I don't want the means. I decide to go to New York, but don't bother me with the means. No, I decide. No. If I decide to go to New York, I must go to New Haven, take the train, and etc. That means that the means are not chosen, are discovered by my intellect. My intellect proposes many means. But the intellect cannot stop. My intellect by itself has no power to stop deliberation. In fact, if I don't decide, I will deliberate. And sometimes we meet somebody who, for 6-7 years, they are not able to decide when they will marry. You have that in The Simpsons, Skinny, the principal Skinny. He never decides to marry. He's not able because his mother is skinny. So practical judgment. Choose of the means. Now, to know the means. Now, what will decide? It is not the intellect. A comparison. The intellect are in a car, the lights. If ever you drove in night with a car, that happened to me. And suddenly, electric system stopped. We are going 60 miles per hour and nothing. We see nothing. But you have to brake. You have to brake. It's hoping that the road continues in straight line. Why? Because you have a powerful motor engine, but you have no light. So the light is coming from the intellect. But the intellect cannot move you. That is the big error of Socrates. And Socrates, he thought that teaching virtue to young Athenians, will make them practice virtue. You can be a very learned lawyer and be a good gangster. That means you can use the law, not to obey the law. That means I have to choose. Now, the choice of the means is made by the will. So, in fact, we distinguish two phases, two times here, but that is one act. All that is the act of the will. But I distinguish in my consent two levels. So, because of that, philosopher scholastic philosophy. Don't forget we are in scholastic philosophy. They have different words to express that consent. So when you consent, they say that is freedom of exercise. Why exercise? Because you can do or not to do. No? You can contradict. They call that also contradiction. So it is called freedom of exercise or freedom of contradiction. Why? Because you can say yes, you can say no. Sometimes in movies we see that. Huh? Just at the time the pastor or the minister asked and say no, and she went out of the office. That is a movie, but that can happen. Huh? In the village of my grandfather, Saint Genevieve, north of Montreal, there was all the parish was in the church to hold a marriage, and the groom never appeared. You know, when he ran to the Trappist monastery, and he died a few years ago. He was 95, 98. Well, that is exceptional, you know. But we can decide, I do or I not do. So that is exercise. I exercise my will. I take. Is an act. Or it is freedom of contradiction because I can say yes, I can say no. Okay? Now, if the freedom not about the choice, of course, consent is already a choice between to do or not to do. The title of the chapter is Willing and Choosing. In fact, to will is to choose. To will is to choose. To choose to do or not to do. And after, to do this or to do that. You know, that means to find the means. We call that freedom of choice. Understood, the choice of the means. Or we call that also freedom of specification. That means my will must be determined, specified by a mean. And that means it is I who specify that mean. So we call that specification. So be familiar with that. So when we consent, number 6, it is freedom of exercise or freedom of contradiction, to do or not to do. Now, when we choose a mean, it is freedom of choice or freedom of specification, or to do this or to do that. I mean, to this mean or that mean. Okay? Now, when you decide, you can stop there. And many stop there. Suppose somebody decide to kill, and you think it's gone, and he stopped. You see, no. But he did consent. He did choose. So he is a killer in will, you know, in thought. But he did not put that into practice happily. Sometimes because some inspiration of the Holy Spirit, that is not philosophy. We stop here. We don't go there. Okay? So suppose I come back to my Dairy Queen. So I decide, and when I had to choose between chocolate, I say, no. My doctor say, you are diabetes, you must not eat chocolate. Okay, I say, excuse me, I have other thing, I don't have time. I go out. We can do that. Someone, temptation, here, consent, here, temptation, consent, and now, action. Execution. You have to put that into practice. The execution is a part of the act of the will. I cannot say the execution is separate. No. All that is organically linked. That means if I decide to do something, I choose the mean to do what I decide. Now I have to use my intellect to how to know how to do. That means we call that the command. Command is not an act of the will. It is an act of the intellect. A command, another word, an order. What is order? An act of the intellect. You are a military, and your superior give you a commandment, give you an order. Does the superior accomplishes the action, execute? No. He tells you how to accomplish. So that the intellect give order, command to you how to use your powers here to accomplish what you decide. For example, you decide to go to New York. So now you have the means, but you decided to go by train. Okay, I decide to go by train. It's not sufficient. You have not to use how I can arrive to the train, at what time, etc., etc. You know, you have to follow an order of action. What will indicate you that order of action? It is your intellect. What will put that into practice? It will be your will. Your will command your powers. That means your faculty. For example, your will has power on your intellect. Because now you pay attention. To pay attention is not only an act of the intellect, it is an act of the intellect, commanded, ordered, moved by the will. Now you are attentive to me. Not only your intellect is working, your will also. Because by your will you can watch other things. You can think about other things, you know. So you put into action your hands, your mouth, your eyes, your legs, everything in your body now will be executing what you decided. So that is, we call that the use of the power. Imagination, yeah? You refer to your imagination, you refer to your memory. You put in activity every power you have. Think about that. Suppose you decide to buy a cake today to celebrate today the feast of Saint Denis or Sister Swan. But you have to do that. You have to use your power, to your imagination. Well, how we celebrate that? To use your memory. Where is the store I can buy that? You know, you use all your power. Now you accomplished, and you arrive to New York. You arrive to New York. Or you are holding your ice cream. You are aware that you attain what you decided. For example, you decide to go to United States when you were not your superior, but you accept it. Huh? So when you are here, you say, "Hey, mother, I am not in United States. I have a safe trip." Huh? Okay, your intellect make you aware of the success of what you decided. Consequently, joy, satisfaction. Huh? Satis in Latin means enough, sufficient, enough. Faction, facere, to do. We are satisfied because, and that is the fruitio. St. Thomas called that the fruitio, the fruit. And now you enjoy. In a few years, when you listen to pomp and circumstances, and you have your cap and gun, and enjoyment. Now I have my MA, I have my baccalaureate, I have my diploma. Or at marriage, the groom and I have. I conquer him, I conquer her. The joy, enjoyment. No, it is true. You decide to write a reflection on philosophy of man. When you finish, what are you? Satisfied? No? I finish. I finished. I did something good. I am sad. Oh, yes. That is good. Satisfaction. It's the same for the parent when they see their child graduating, and when they see their son becoming a priest or a nun or the mayor of the city. Enjoyment. Enjoyment. Okay, you understand that? Now you have to go to the other page. The other page is to summarize two things that are in the chapter. We already spoke about determinism. We began the class by that. The first part of the chapter was on determinism. That means some philosophers, they deny, not only philosophers, psychologists, sociologists, scientists, they deny freedom. They deny freedom. You have that on page 68. I gave that to you. Yeah, that. Okay? Recently. So here, for materialists, the act of the will is totally determined by the material object. In fact, the environment determines us. So when I act, I am not really free. I have the appearance of freedom, but in fact, I depend on the environment. I go to Dairy Queen. I think I am free. I am not free. I am determined by ice cream. You know, I drink. I go to a bar, a pub, Irish pub, where I can meet a leprechaun, and I drink beer, Irish beer. They say it's not free. You are determined by that. In fact, man is determined. Is not really free. It's only an appearance of freedom. We call that determinism. Determinism. In fact, the material object for them is the efficient cause. I do an action not because I decide that, because I am forced, obliged by sociological pressure, for example. Many thankful people, in the past, they went to church in my country because they were pushed by the pressure. If you don't go to church, you are not normal. So you have to go to church. That you are not free. That is the theory of determinism. The other extreme, we are not yet, but it is at the end of the chapter, it is the indeterminism. And determinism is totally opposed. They say we are not at all determined by anything. Nothing determines us. It is only myself, I, who determine what I do. I depend on nothing, even not on God. Jean-Paul Sartre says, if God exists, man is not free. And if man is free, God does not exist. That means I cannot be conditioned by nothing. When you study metaphysics, you study essence and existence. So the essence of man does not include existence. And the essence receives existence. It is determined by existence. Jean-Paul Sartre, the French philosopher, says the contrary. We exist, and after that we create our own essence. Everyone creates his own essence from himself. That is the position of editor. No object influences the will. So I am absolutely free. And to prove that, in his book he wrote, a man that they take a gun, enter a train and kill, about 15%, totally without any motive, totally free. Because to be free, we have no motive. So we call that a free act. And that is not only in the book, it is in the reality that happened in Quebec, in the town of Matane, near the ocean. The theater, and they had a big, huge high school, college, and those who study philosophy, in fact they study Jean-Paul Sartre probably, they decided to do a free act, to prove that they are absolutely free. That means an act without any motivation. So what they did, they took a hammer, and in that college there was a young brother. He was there for 50 years. He was the one who was at the office to welcome the people, and they killed him with a hammer to prove that he was totally free. In fact, to prove. Was there any motive in that? Yes. To prove. It is impossible to do an act, a human act, without a motive. Okay? But for them, a motive, if I do it by motive, I corrupt my action. It is a little bit count like that, and it is like that count. I must do my duty only for my duty. not for other material. If I do that to go to heaven, if I do that to express my love to God, no, I have to do duty for duty. You know, that and determinism, Kant. Two philosophers, Sartre and Kant. Well, Kant does not deny God. On the contrary, he proved the existence of God. But Sartre denied God. Denied God. Okay. So here now, we have the two extremes. We have here the determinists. They say we are not free at all. And you see, here we are totally, absolutely free, without any determination. The object does not determine us. It is who determines the object. You remember that corresponds to the theory of knowledge. Theory of knowledge. The theory of knowledge, someone said we depend only on the object to know. Sense, knowledge. David Hume in England, for example. Only sense knowledge. We are determined by that. Or we are determined by our own mind knowledge. My knowledge comes from my mind, idealist, you know. Two extreme. We have that in the same in the study of the same thing. Why? Because we act according to what we think. So if I am a materialist in my interpretation of knowledge, I will be a materialist in my interpretation of the will. If I am an idealist in the interpretation of the reality, of the I know, I will use the same thing. It is the case of Kant, for example. Now we are in the middle. Aquinas, Thomas, and Maritain, and Father Legault. We are in the and you, I hope. We are in fact, in Saint Thomas, in medio stat virtus. In medio stat virtus. In the middle stays the virtue. You know that? In medio stat virtus. Virtue stays in the middle, between two extremes. We have the two extremes here. So you have to hold both. So the freedom according to moderate determinism, that means St. Thomas, Aristotle, etc. In fact, their theory is based on self-determination, auto-determination. That means when I accomplish an act of the will, I decide a decision, I depend on an object. I cannot will nothing. When I decide, I have an object of decision. Like when I see, I have an object. No, we saw that. No? So when I will, I am specified by an object. For example, I go to Dairy Queen. I am specified by ice cream, not by beer, by ice cream. So in that act, I am specified, determined by ice cream. My will is determined not by chocolate, not by ham, not by hamburger, but by ice cream. Okay? That means I cannot will nothing. When I will something, an aspect of good in thing. Therefore, my will depend on an object. So my act of willing is objective. Here it is absolutely objective. Here it is absolutely subjective. But in our case, it is certainly objective. So when I decide to go to New York, the object of my will is a trip to New York. It's not a trip to Chicago, it's not a trip to Paris, it's a trip to New York. Okay? Now, we call that the, okay, here for the materialist, the material object is the efficient cause of my own. If I do something, it is because I am determined by the thing. Okay, efficient cause. For us, here, of course, the object comes to me. But what of the object come to me? The form of good. The form of good. So I am informed by the good in the thing. That is formal cause. When you eat ice cream, do you have the intention to assimilate every electron and proton and neutron? And because the same proton and neutron are in the desk, are everywhere, no? So you want to, the form of ice cream, the sweetness, the taste, you know, it is what you want. So that is the formal first. The form of the good thing enter me. For example, you will to buy a desk. You will to buy, what you will, it is not that first of all a plank of wood. What you want is the good in the desk, that means a tool able to help you to work and to study, etc. Huh? So this is the formula. We are determined by that. That means there is no act of the will without a determination from the object. To will to buy a car and to will buy a pencil is different, because there is two forms different. The form of the car, that means the quality, the good in the car is not the same thing as the good in the pencil. So, now, we are not totally determined. Why? Why I am not totally determined? Because the object, for example, Dairy Queen, ice cream. Huh? Of course, ice cream determine my will as a formal cause. Why? Because I determine ice cream to become the cause of my satisfaction. No? I am not the slave. I decide today I will eat ice cream. Not beer, not chocolate, not bread, not hamburger, ice cream. It is I who determine the object. I am not the slave of the environment. I dominate the environment. Of course, it will inform me. The good of ice cream will inform me. And the formal object will cause something in me. I'm not determined by an apple or a lemon or an orange. I'm determined by ice cream at that time. But if I am determined by ice cream, it is because I have the power to decide that ice cream will be the object of my will. The proof of that, how we can prove that? You can say no. You can say no. You can say no. As long as you don't eat ice cream, you can say no, I stop. No? Somebody want to offer you drug, pot, small Canadian pot, Canadian marijuana from Vancouver. No, c'est Colorado, no, it's American. No? Huh? But they offer you the cigarette, you can say yes, you can say no. You can say yes. Why? You are not determined. You offer to your dog a bone. Remember the statue of Father Bouchard in Ivory? Your dog cannot say no. You offer a mouse to your cat cannot say no. He cannot say today is Friday. I cannot eat meat. You understand, huh? So your cat is determined by the object. And he cannot master that. He cannot master that. You can master that. So freedom is essentially in self-determination, in self-mastering. Freedom is to be the master of my decision. That is freedom. It's not to do what I want. It is to be the master of my decision. And that, when you are the master of your decision, it is I who determine myself by choosing the object. So the object is not forcing me, it is I who decide to take that. And when I decide to take ice cream instead of chocolate, now ice cream is determining my will as a formal cause. But the efficient cause is my will, I cannot say, suppose we are here, and you drink beer too much on St. Patrick's Day, because only on that day Irish exaggerate. The other time they are very sober. Okay, So if you are the determinist, you have no choice. The beer will determine you. Huh? The beer will determine you. But if you are a master of your decision, it is you who decide that beer will be the best for me to quench my thirst. And when you say that, what do? You have a motive. You have a motive. And that motive, it is not imposed to you, it is you who decide that motive also. Because you cannot satisfy your thirst, but you can also. So you decide that. So not only you decide the object of your will, you decide the motive for why you take that object. And that, what is the motive? It is the final cause. And you saw that, you remember when the carpenter was the finis operantis, the end of the work and the end of the worker. So the end of the worker is to, the work is to make a desk. But the end of the worker is to make the desk to have money for his family. So in fact the work that means to build a desk is also the formal cause. When the carpenter is building a desk, he has the form of a desk. Why? Because he wants to build a desk. If I want, for example, I go to Dairy Queen, I decide to eat ice cream, strawberry ice cream, for example. That is I do that by a motive. I don't stop for any reason. Because I am tempted, attracted, there is something good. In fact, in everything, there is always at least one motive, the goodness of the thing. So, there is a motive. That motive, that final cause, corresponds to the object. That means the final cause corresponds to the formal cause. The form and the end are linked. So, in fact, I am free because I have the power, elicited power, coming from myself, or coming from me, to decide what will be the object of my will and what will be the motive of that action. Therefore, I am free. Auto-determination, self-determination. That is central. Because here we have the two. Here we accept, we are determined by an object. We cannot know will nothing. On the other side, we are also not absolutely determined because I determine myself to that good. You understand that? Excessively important. That is the center of freedom. If you understand that, you can explain that to everybody after. I am free because I decide the object that will determine my will. And I decide also the end of that object. Why? So I am responsible for my action because I am in fact the efficient cause of my action. I cannot say, the cause is the beer, is the wine. You have an accident, okay? You drink too much wine. The police test you. Red. Sir, I'm not responsible. Sue the company of wine. Sue 6 grams. I drink too much gin, sue 6 grams. No. It is you who decide to drink wine. It is you who decide to drink gin. So you are responsible. Of course, when you drink gin, you don't drink water. But you drink gin because you will to drink gin. Otherwise, you have no responsibility. In fact, the determinists here, they deny responsibility. Why? Because they don't accept we have a superior power above our faculty, because the will. And because of that, we are spiritual. The will is a spiritual power. It can control all the other power in our body, even the intellect. Because I can pay attention or not pay attention, and that is the act of the will, not my intellect. is the reason why for Saint Bonaventure, the most important faculty is not the intellect, it is the will. St. Thomas says is the intellect, and that both are necessary. Okay? So I will not give more explanation on that. Page 70. Yes.
So there's no moral act in the pure determinist or pure indeterminist. There's no moral acts.
But for them there is, if you want, the morality is reduced to behavior.
Okay.
That means you act because you are determined by heredity, by your family, by the weather, etc. You know.
So
You have,
how do societies function
Okay.
in those contexts?
yes. You remember last class what I told you? The difference between morality and legality. You remember that? Legal and moral. The case you fight, it is you want to fight against abortion. You know? But you are on the, be careful, when you fight, as a Catholic, as a Christian, you are on the side of morality. But those who are at the power, they are on the side of legality. That is the problem. Yeah, because they deny, in fact, they deny abortion as be a moral act. Is a legal act for them, a legal act. So we are not on the same length of wave, you know. If it is legal, the decision depends on the majority, you know. If it is moral, the decision depend on the boss here, on the creator, on okay. Freedom. You don't forget we have moderate determinism. That means we accept the necessity to be determined by an object, but at the same time we affirm that we are the master of that object. And that is, freedom is not free for all, it's not to do anything, it's not physical freedom, it is moral freedom. And moral freedom is here. It is master, the one who is mastering. You know, the formation of the character of a child, it is that. To learn a child how to control himself. In fact, freedom is self-control. Essentially, freedom is self-mastering, self-control, auto-determination, self-determination. And that is not the definition of many people. The freedom is to do what I want to free. No, it is the master of my decision. Because if I am the master of my decision, I am responsible. And to be responsible, that is first moral dimension. But sometimes we switch from morality to legality. And one of the causes of that is Kant, Immanuel Kant, who make a distinction clearly between morality and morality is for my conscience, and legality is for the society. You know? External action, morality is for internal action, and legality for external action. A word now, forget something, when you study ethics. Here, deliberation and consent, or that is we call the antecedent conscience. Antecedent conscience. And here, perception of attainment here, it is we call the consequent conscience. Consequent conscience. So antecedent. In fact, when you study that in ethics, before an action, we reflect on action. A condition to accomplish a moral action is to reflect here. Antecedent conscience. Consequent conscience after, did I do well? Examination of conscience at the end of the day. Well, that examination of conscience should have two dimensions. To see what happened during the day, but to prepare the next day. What is the most important conscience? Antecedent or consequent? Consequent or antecedent? What is the more important in your life?
Right before you can say.
Before?
Yeah.
Antecedent. The consequent is when you break the suppose you are furious and you break all the glasses in your kitchen. Now, it would be better to reflect before than after. So the most important is antecedent conscience. Consequent conscience can be, for example, remorse is here. Remorse is here. But the responsibility does not depend on consequent conscience, depend on antecedent conscience, reflection. You remember catechism, what is the condition to commit a sin? Matter. Secondly, sufficient reflection, deliberation, antecedent conscience. And third, full consent, yeah, the will. Yes.
But isn't the consequence a final end?
Now here the consequence here, what follow. The word consequent means, sequor in Latin means to follow.
Oh.
To follow. Consequent, come after. Consequent. A consequence, it is what follows from. Okay? Page 17. Okay? Bon, here we have what I explained, it is here. And if you look at my pages, they are filled with yellow. Those pages, pages 17 to 17 to 20, 17 to 19, 20 are excessively important. And that is the central of ethic. Central of ethic is here. In fact, to study ethic, we should study philosophy of man before, to know what is the human act, what is the act of the will. Okay, so the act is truly cause. It's not only a succession of action, it is a real link of causality. And one interest of philosopher is causality, the link of causality. Okay? It is, let me say that 1.2, very important, 1.2. The act of choice is truly cause in as much as the value move my will. But why the value, the good, moves my will? Because I decide it will be that. If I decide to become a priest, for me, the value of becoming a priest is what I decide. It's not what I follow. It was I decide. A good example of that, St. Francis of Assisi. I like to take that because it's so clear. He was excessively rich, the richest man in the city, in the town of and he preferred, he saw in poverty a value. His father saw a non-value, but for him, to be poor was a value. And he decided, he was not determined by poverty. He decided that poverty will be the object of his will. And he decided to be poor. As you decide, religious here, to make the vow of poverty. It's not the vow of poverty we decide you, it is you who decide the vow of poverty. You cannot also make the vow of poverty. Chastity is the same. You can go married, have a family, instead of being religious. Okay? So that is auto-determination. And number two, the only value toward is necessitated is the universal. So we have no choice. We have voluntas ut natura, voluntas ut libera. Ut natura, that means as nature, I have no choice. I am necessitated by the good in everything. But the good in everything, this good is not the good. Therefore, I am free to decide that this good will be the best for me. I decide that. I have a motive for that. Okay? I am even responsible for my motive. Think about the gospel when Jesus speaks about the people who make money at the temple. We give money. Someone, they give money and they ask the iron, how do you say, the Mexican player, Mariachi. Look at that man, he is doing, for the trumpet, and like was trumpet. And the poor widow put 2 pennies in the trumpet. So the motive, it is also willed by you. Not only the action, but the motive also. That means we are very responsible for our action. Not only we will the action, we will also the motive. We decide what will be for me the motive of that action. So I cannot say I was not responsible. We are responsible. And that is a powerful. The will is, think of the power of the will. Your eternity, think about that. Your eternity depends on an act of the will. The last act of your will, we decide for all your eternity. Not your intellect, your will. You will accept the mercy of God, or you will deny the mercy of God. The power of the, and that makes us similar to God, at the image of God. We are at the image of God not only because we are intelligent, but because we are free. I mean, we are master of our action. God, my dog has not, and my cat has not power. I have that power. Think about that. And therefore, the education in English is only to form the mind. In French, in Spanish, in Italian, in Latin, education is to form the character. You know, we use the same word, not the same meaning. In every text in English, education is to learn. In French, in Latin, in Italian, all the Latin language, education is to form the character, to form the will, not the intellect, of course the intellect, but the will, and to make a strong man, to form the character. Okay? Okay, you can read that, page 18. So, in regard to the particular good, in the act of the will is determined by the object, but not necessitated. We are necessitated by the absolute good, but we are not necessitated. There's a difference between necessitate and determine. I determine the object, I will choose, but I am not determined, I am not necessitated by that. There is no necessity. Because if there was necessity to drink beer or to choose ice cream, I will not be free. But there is a necessity for me when I drink beer or I eat ice cream or chocolate. I must have find a good in that. But that good in ice cream or chocolate or beer is not necessitating me. I can say yes, I can say no. But I cannot say no in my tendency toward the perfect happiness. I am necessitated by that. You see the difference between necessity and determination. Because the determination, I can determine what will determine myself. But I am not free in regard of the perfect good. Yes?
Can you define necessitated, or however you
Okay,
say it?
necessity, it is if you want, a link, a link of absolute obligation, if you want. No? I have no choice at all. I depend total dependence then. Total dependency about something. So I am, my nature, I depend totally on the perfect good. I am tending necessarily on the perfect good. But the perfect good does not exist on earth. Even my knowledge of God is not perfect. Therefore, I can prefer sin to God. You know, because the knowledge I have of God is not perfect. So my love of God on earth is not perfect. So I can prefer a creature to the Creator. If the perfect good was God, I will not be free at all. I will be necessarily tending toward God. No, you are free. And because I am free, my knowledge of God is not perfect on earth. I can prefer money, power, pleasure to God. And God can be the last thing in my life. Because I don't see in God the good, because I have no perfect idea of who is God. Yes.
Father,
I don't.
Yes, sister.
I'm sorry. Can I say that the object cannot cause anything in the subject? The object cannot cause anything in subject.
The object causes something as a formal cause. Or at the end of the life. You know, the form, I'm not determined by ice cream, but the form of ice cream is determining me because I choose ice cream, you know. It is the formal cause. That means in every action, there must be an object. Even you see, you must see color. And color is the form of the thing going in you. For example, you look at the board here, it's green. The board is not entering you. Yeah, it enters you on the speck of green for your eye. That's the form. Okay. So when I eat ice cream, it is the taste, the joy, the enjoyment of ice cream. I want to assimilate, not the matter itself. You know, that means it has the formal. What is the formal object of the will in general? Good. In everything, I want to the good of ice cream, the good of beer, the good of chocolate, the good of a good siesta. Yes, brother.
So from a religious standpoint, we'd say that the universal good or the ultimate good would be God. What are we talking about in a philosophical sense?
Yeah. In philosophy, that perfect good we cannot see is God. Because we have no perfect idea of God. We can say, yes, God is the perfect being, but we don't know the perfect being. Even when I say that, I don't have a perfect knowledge of God. Okay? Is the reason why I am free? If I have a perfect knowledge of God, I will not be free. In heaven, the angel, they see God face to face. Are you free to see me? Are you free to see me?
Yeah.
No. You are not free. I am not free to see you. It is evident. You are in front of me. I cannot choose. I decide to see them or not to see them. No, I see you. Period.
Using free equivocally there. We're talking about freedom between to choose and not choose, but this freedom is not the same, right?
But when you are, in fact, in presence of an object, for example, of course, your eyes are not free in themselves, because the object arrives directly to your mind, to your eyes. It's the same for good. If I have in presence, suppose I have in presence the perfect happiness, the perfect good, I will not choose. It is my tendency. See, the reason why in heaven nobody can commit a sin. Because but that is theology. Because they are directly in contact with the object of there. Can you desire something when you possess the thing? You desire the thing when you don't possess totally the thing, no? So when in heaven you see in the face of God, see Jesus, you don't say, I will to love you. No, I love you.
So there's no freedom in heaven.
No.
So is that
Because if you have freedom, you will be able to change your mind. Okay, I am enough with, now I go to hell.
Father?
Okay, you possess, you will, that is happiness. What is perfect happiness? When you, and you don't want to lose that, no? And when you are in good health and your family is good, everything is going good, you want to keep that. You don't say, I want to get rid of that, no. So, that, okay. Brother Michael, and then,
You answered my question.
okay.
I think I just have to disagree. I think we're defining freedom a little wrong. I think it's a choice between goods, you know, not a choice between good and evil. And
Now,
essentially,
evil does not exist.
I know this is, but we're
Excuse
talking
me,
about
metaphysically, evil does not exist.
Yes.
Because evil is the absence of being.
Okay, well, the choice between a good action and a not a good action.
Yeah.
So,
Yes, but be careful. Not a good action is a good action. That means what you call you not a good action, a bad action, in fact it is a good action for the one who does that.
Yeah.
For example, you decide to kill, for you is a good thing. Otherwise you will not kill. That means in every decision we take, we always search for good. Even those who suicide, they want the good.
Okay, a morally wrong action. A morally wrong action. Anyways,
Yeah.
but I
Well,
just see freedom.
that is ethic, huh? That is ethic.
Yeah.
I can say that. You know, of course, when you kill, maybe you know that good is not necessarily the best good, you know. And you're not stupid at the same time. But what you search, you don't search to go to prison, to go to be killed, to be executed. You want to satisfy your desire for the good. That means vengeance. You know? Okay. Well, yeah, you know, he received it very well. Huh? Philosophy of man and ethics, they are linked. Huh? We cannot study ethics without philosophy of man. I think one of the weaknesses is to study ethics without knowing who is the human person. The subject of ethics is the human person. Yes.
So just getting back to what you said when somebody's in front of you and it's evident that somebody's in front of you, you see them. You don't have any freedom in that.
The freedom to see him.
You don't have a freedom to see him. Is that due to the unity of being, like truth, unity, just being in general, being the good of that situation?
You know, I am. You know, if you are in front of me, I have no choice to say you are in front of me because you are there.
Mhm.
You know, your presence does not depend on me. You are there. So, you know, it's obvious. It is evident. No? But on earth, not a single good is evidently the best. I can offer you a Mount Everest in gold. You can say, I don't want that. You are free from your decision. And that is important. We speak about that. You cannot preview a free decision. It is always a mystery. You can say probably. You cannot say that you should. Because if you can say that, there is no more freedom. Freedom will stay a mystery. Yeah, that is again positivism. Positivism tends to explain everything. We cannot explain freedom. Because we never know. Huh? We never know if the person will say yes or no. The power is not in you. You can give the best motive. The best motive. Why the best motive does not influence a person? Because it is not you who influence. It is the person who decides that motive will be for me the best. For example, for you the best motive is to go to heaven. But for the other, the best motive maybe is to be the mayor of the city, or to be rich, or to be to drink, etc., to smoke pot. You understand? Okay. Now, you know, that is read that, meditate that, assimilate that. I assure you that is the most important pages in the whole philosophy of man, because you will have to discuss that, to teach that, all the time, especially with young people. Huh? Okay? And the ethic. Okay, page 18, you have a very good summary. You know, the majority of what is here, I already explained that. Yes. Page 22. Number 6, ownership and responsibility. You know, so I am responsible for my action. Why? Because I am the one who decides. So the consequence of freedom is responsibility. And to develop, I will say to develop the will of a child, of a person, is to give him or to give her little responsibility. You develop the freedom of a person when the person has to accomplish responsibilities. When I was teaching primary school, I gave responsibility to every child in my class. I try to do that. It is a way to educate to freedom, to take responsibility, because you have a responsibility, for example, to clean the floor. You can say yes, you can say no. If you say yes, you develop your sense of freedom. Because freedom is auto-determination. Freedom is self-control. Freedom is mastering of my own decision, etc. It's quite different from the notion of freedom we have in today. Page 23, at the top, choosing as one control, control the value. One has determined the very determination. Not only we will, but we will to will. We love, not only we love, St. Augustine says that, not only we love, but we love to love. Like I know that I know, no? I know that I know, that is reflection. I can say, I love to love, I will to will. I will to take a decision, you know. I don't want to be the slave of others. So we have here a proof of the spirituality of the human soul. The human soul is able to control, to master all under in the own person. And that is not material. We can contradict our physical needs. I am thirsty, I can say no. 40 days in the desert with Jesus. Okay? In fact, when we learn a child to make some sacrifice, it is the formation of the will, and to be on time, etc. Okay? Numbers just in the middle. Nobody is able to give a wholly satisfactory explanation. Freedom will stay a mystery. And I continue. But you see, freedom, free act escapes total intelligibility. We cannot explain completely, totally free act. Why that young man in the village of my grandfather, at the last minute, instead of going to the church, he went to the monastery and stayed there for 80 years. We cannot explain that. Okay, as a theologian, I can say, even there, you can, an lack of freedom, really stay a mystery. Even sometimes yourself, you don't know. Why I did that, I don't know completely. I cannot explain, for example, why my superior asked me to study philosophy instead of science. I say yes. So today I say I was stupid. Humanly speaking, I was stupid. I did not understand. I accepted it. Faith. It was a lack of faith. It's not philosophy. It's faith. You know? Many things we cannot explain. Many things. Think about marriage, for example. Why marriage? You cannot give all. It's impossible. Why become a priest? You cannot explain everything. Okay. Freedom is a mystery. Okay. And at the bottom, I did so because I wanted to. If I choose ice cream because I wanted, I will that, you know. Finally, the role of liberation, page 24, we spoke about that. So, 24, I continue, 25, well, we have the choice, many possibilities. If there is only one possibility, we have the possibility to say yes or no. Yes or no. We have a choice, okay? Page 26. That page, very important. Look at my yellow, very important. I don't have time, but everything is here. I already explained that. Already. It is only, if you want, the explanation of what I page 27. Voluntas ut natura, voluntas ut libera. I already explained that. I give you the analogy of a motor, a car with light. It is there. Page 28. So, what did you decide? The content, the object. That the act of I decide to do or not to do elicited that. Now, the action following that decision are impaired to that. You have to know that because in theology you will have those words elicited. It's not easy to find in any dictionary. It's proper to scholastic philosophy. Okay. Now, page 28 for consideration. First, the deliberative act itself is the result of a lack of choice. I already. Page 29. final process. The liberative process is without term. I explained that. We can, the intellect cannot stop by itself. It is the will, finally, say, I stop, no, we have to do something. We can discuss for years without doing nothing. Third, an unpredictable mystery. And now, page 30, the fourth, the will is always determined in a determined state by a limited value. We saw that. In fact, all that is in page 30, number 12. The will, the act of the will is truly reflective. The will wills its own act. I will the act of willing. To decide, the decision I take, I will that decision. Not only I will to decide, I will when I decide, I will to decide. I have the power over my own will. I can command my own will. I can stimulate my own will. That is power of reflection. It is a supernatural, and it is a spiritual power. Page 31. The motive, I spoke about that. The motive, the final. In fact, all the elements I explained you, they are here. Okay. Page 32. Intellect and volunteer are intimated interlinked. We spoke about that also. Now a word about love and the will. In fact, love is an act of the will. Love is intersubjective. And finally, I will only stress one thing, 3.3. Love is benevolence. That means love is to will the good of the other. Essentially, benevolence is to will the good of others. You know, in the Gloria in excelsis Deo, and pax omnibus boni voluntatis. Peace to men of goodwill. Is not, that is ambiguous in Latin. Pax omnibus boni voluntatis have two meanings. The pax given by God depend on your goodwill, or the pax given by God depend on His goodwill. It is not written. So in French traduction, we have God, the peace to men whom God loves. That means the peace we have don't depend on our disposition. The peace we receive depends on the benevolence of God. It's a gift, pure gift of God. But you can say, the peace God gives depends on me. So make a choice. It's the proof that Latin is very not precise in language. We can interpret many things like many. Here's a good example of that. And theologians fight on that. We say, it is the good will of man, or it is the good will of God. We don't know. It is not precise. Good morning, good that. Okay. And you have here the S of Puritan. That means we cannot, if we don't decide, we will be like this S between two pair of A. Finally, the poor S is that. And in 10 minutes, we explain that here. So that chapter, take the time to assimilate that, not for the exam, for your good information, personal information, and be sure it is probably the most important chapter you will use in your life. If you work with children, if you're adolescent especially, that chapter is fundamental to explain what is freedom, auto-determination. Okay? Have a good week.